Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Optic Scumpy, here today. Today we're just going to talk a little bit. I'm going to have some gameplay videos out as well for you guys, so don't fear. But today we're just going to talk about the Stage 2 groups, which were picked today. I actually had zero idea that they were being picked today. I don't know, the way that they do the scheduling and stuff. I always am like, wait, they're picking the pools today? That doesn't really make sense to me, but the Stage 2 groups are picked. Today, just going to run down what I think about it, what I think about our group, our scheduling. I'll talk about everything. I'll talk about what groups suck and what groups, got the easier slice, you could say. But let's get into it. Alrighty, let's start off with week number 1. Obviously, our week is going to be last. We'll talk about that. I say that with a tilted mindset because we were the last group last week, which means that so the way this works is we're going to have Anaheim, which is coming up in about 2 weeks. It's June 16th. And then I believe Stage 2 pools start, so the qualifying weeks, they start a week and a half after Anaheim. So, again, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I'm a little bit pissed off that we're last group. I'll just get that out of the way. But week 1, it's hard to really say how tough the groups are ultimately because there still is the Stage 2 qualifier teams. But, I mean, you look at some of the Stage 2 qualifier teams that could be coming out, and there's only a few good ones. You have your Cloud9, who I think is pretty decent. And then after that, it really is a toss-up. There's only, like I said, there's only a couple teams that really could cause a ruckus for some of these top teams. I mean, Cloud9 being one of the obvious ones. But other than that, it's like all these amateur teams, I feel like these are the best teams that are in each group. I feel like there aren't many teams that aren't in the league right now that could really make a big run, if that makes sense. But let's talk about it. So we have Luminosity, EG, and Mindfreak. Honestly, this should be an easy pool for Luminosity. I think Luminosity right now, I think that they've always been a top 3 team in the game. They've always been really, really talented. They beat us last week at playoffs pretty easily. So Luminosity's nasty. I think that they shouldn't have a problem getting first. The toss-up here is going to be between EG and Mindfreak. Mindfreak definitely has the potential. They're a really, really good team. The problem I've seen with that team, though, where they go map 5 a lot with a lot of teams. They go map 5 a ton. They could just never close out that map 5. And I was talking to Fida about it, who's on their team. And he was just like, yeah, if we could close out some of these map 5s, we'd be in a pretty good spot in a lot of these situations. Even at, I think it was MLG Dallas. They were in pool play, and they went map 5 with, I think, every single team in it. Maybe one team they didn't. So it's going to come down to their map 5s. I think EG should have a pretty good time. Again, if Cloud9 comes into this, it could be a good pool for Cloud9 to fall into. I think that Cloud9 wouldn't have much trouble in this group, but Luminosity, obviously, number 1. Toss up between the other two, and then it's all dependent on who comes into it to see if there's any competition for the number 2 spot between those two teams. Next, week number 2, FaZe Clan, E6, Elevate. Honestly, Elevate's a pretty good squad. They made a roster change. I don't know if they could throw over E6. I mean, FaZe is your obvious to come out of it. These first 2 groups, there's pretty clear-cut winners. There's not much for speculation here. It's FaZe should come out. If they don't, it's on their end. I mean, they had a lot harder of a group the last week they were at. I think FaZe has gotten a lot better, too, as a team since their pool in season number 1. So FaZe number 1, possibly Elevate could throw over E6, probably not. This would be another good group for one of the amateur teams to fall into. Really, if you're looking at it in an amateur's point of view, like the teams that are trying to qualify for Stage 2, you want to be in these first 2 weeks. These are the 2 weeks that you want to be put into because there's no 2 dominant teams in the group that are pretty much going to be your clear-cut 1 and 2. You have FaZe, who is your clear-cut 1, and then other than that, it's pretty much a toss-up. Whoever plays better, whoever can clutch up in the end. Those are the 2 pools you want to be dropped into if you're an amateur team. All right, moving on. Group Yellow. This is not the pool you want to be put into. If you're a qualifying team and you get thrown into this pool, you're like, shit. Oh, shit. We got put into this group. That's a tough group, man. I think out of all of the weeks of the stages for qualifying, this is probably the hardest week that we've seen overall. You have Splice, the winners of playoffs. E-United, they didn't really play too well at playoffs, but still I consider them a top 4 team minimum. Depends how they're really playing. And then Rise. Oh, I feel for my boys on Rise because they got screwed in week number 1 as well. They had a tough pool week 1. They had EG, FaZe, and who else did they have? EG, FaZe. Who was the last team? I can't even remember the final team that they had in their pool. But that's a tough pool, man. They got a bad first week. Arguably should have qualified in their week, and then they get dropped into this. I think Splice and E United, if one of them doesn't make it out, I'd be shocked. Again, this is the pool. If you're an AM team trying to relegate the teams from Season 1, this is not the pool that you want to be placed into. That's a tough one. Moving on into our week, us, Envious, and Epsilon. Again, this is another group that you don't want to get pulled into if you're an amateur player. I mean, this isn't too tough of a group for us, I don't think. Envious, we haven't had too many problems with playing them the past couple times we've played them. They're still a really good team, though. Don't get me wrong, but this is a tough group, honestly. I think that we should still come out first. Epsilon showed a lot of promise in their week in Season 1. They played Luminosity and E United very well the whole time. Again, they're a really good team. They won one of the European events with Splice in that tournament, so this is definitely not a team to overlook. I think we should be fine, though. I think it's going to be a toss-up between Envy and Epsilon. I think that the amateur team that drops into this has zero chance of making it out. I don't want to say zero because I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen in Call of Duty, but if you get dropped into this, it's a tough draw, man. And also, I sort of forgot, I mean, it's pretty late in the video now, but I forgot, like, the teams that could still make it in, the teams that got relegated. So you have your Red Reserves, your Fnatic. There's still a couple of Cloud9. There's a lot of good teams that could still make it into these. But weeks 3 and 4, man, you don't want to get put into ours. And also, I'm going to talk about this too. We got week 4 again, dude. I don't want to sit here and complain and be like, come on, how are we so unlucky? But, like, I wish that they would have done it in a way where we were week 4 last time, so we should be at least week 1 or 2 at the bare minimum. Like, I feel like they should have just flip-flopped it, so if you were in the weeks 1 and 2, you either play week 3 or 4, and vice versa. If you were in week 3 or 4 in the first stage and you're still in, you should be playing in the weeks 1 and 2. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm happy with our group. I don't think that it's that bad. I'd much rather have our group than week 3. To be honest, week 3 is the standout group of death for this next stage. Our group, again, as long as we play well, I think we should be all right. It's definitely the second hardest group overall, but honestly, it's not a bad thing. I'm sorry about that, but it's not a bad thing to have a hard group because then you're going to be more prepared to play against some of those better teams when you actually get to the playoffs. So it's actually probably a good thing for us that we got some better teams in our pool. But that's going to do it for this. Stage number 2 has been announced. It'll be starting in probably about a month. I think it starts in early July. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys are excited for the stage 2. I know I am. I'll see you guys all in the next video. And as always, this is Scump. Fight.